So, episode 20 of the Apothecary Diaries. Our girl Maomao just turned into a supervillain, going and all that after discovering what Suirei pulled off. Our homegirl just went off the rails. It was both scary and hilarious and adorable all at the same time. I don't know how you can pull that off, but Maomao sure can. In any case, girl had me absolutely rolling when she was just going off. And then she had like this kind of evil cadence to her voice when she was just going off about Suirei. Uh, Obviously, our girl Maomao has found herself a little rival in Suirei. And Homegirl is going to try to capture Suirei no matter what. One, because it's an interesting challenge. And two, Homegirl wants Suirei to reveal her secrets of the revival drug because that shit is awesome. And we know how much Maomao loves her interesting and fascinating drugs. And that's one of them. And with how Maomao was going off, she is not going to stop for nothing trying to capture this woman. It is kind of cool that she has like her kind of Moriarty to her Sherlock now that she has to compete with like throughout the rest of the series. How much of it we're gonna get through the end of this season, I don't know, but I definitely hope for a season 2 and more interactions, or at least more cat and mouse between Maomao and Suirei, with her trying to capture her, or at least locate her again. Moving on. So, we found out Suirei somehow tricked everybody into thinking she was actually dead, and she used that awesome revival drug we were just talking about to come back to life and sneak on out of the kingdom, disguised as one of the eunuchs. Quite brilliant on her part. How she managed to pull all these little intricate things together, like, I'm not entirely sure if she's the mastermind behind all these things that were going on leading up to the attempted murder on Jinshi, but what I am curious about is, if she's not, who is the one behind pulling the strings? Because Suirei herself is quite the genius, and if she's not the actual Moriarty, she could just be one of the Moriarty grunts that's just really smart. Or she could even be this Mystery Moriarty's right-hand lady, initiating all these crazy schemes. Because the amount of coincidences that we had discussed in the previous episode, the way it all kind of coalesced into what happened with Jinshi and Maomao saving his life is pretty crazy. How they managed to pull all that shit off without being detected. Now, there is something to bring up here about Maomao. Now, we all know Maomao is very smart and intelligent, but she did bring up the fact that she's like, who the hell is this guy, when referring to Jinshi, because of him being at the ceremony or ritual, and the fact that only somebody of a very high position would be responsible for it. And we have seen him wearing things like the royal crest and whatnot. But here's the thing. Even though Maomao is quite intelligent, and we've seen Jinshi wearing things like the royal insignia and stuff at times, the thing is, Maomao doesn't seem to care about mysteries that she doesn't have much interest in. And the fact that Jinshi is not somebody she particularly has great interest in is part of why she hasn't pursued trying to figure out who he really is, which is fair enough. Now, we all know she could, if she put some thought into it. She even brought it up towards the end of the episode that she definitely inferred that she could figure it out. But when she started thinking about it, she quickly backed off and was like, you know what? It ain't worth it, because figuring it out is just going to bring me more trouble than I want. So, not only is she not particularly interested in Jinshi, she also just doesn't want the trouble that would come with figuring out who he really is. Thus, why she hasn't bothered to try to put the pieces together, because willful ignorance is more beneficial for her in the long run because it causes her less issues in the future. So, even if there are people out there who might complain that she hasn't figured it out, there's clear reasons that are in character why she hasn't tried. And one of them is, it's just not worth the trouble. And that's very Maomao. Now, another thing I want to look at, I want to jump back real quick to Maomao being completely insane and evil. I mean, by temporarily becoming a supervillain here. I mean, just look at this face. Look at this face. You can't tell me Maomao doesn't have the potential to become some insane supervillain. I mean, she got the evil grin down. Like, she got this shit down pat. And then with that laugh, people ain't careful. She gonna end up turning on their asses. And she'd be a pretty formidable opponent, to be fair. If she was really out to try to get somebody, she could probably pull it off with how smart she is and how knowledgeable she is about like medicines and shit and things that can poison people. But I digress. Moving it back to the main subject, I just had to go back to this picture because it's just so crazy how she looks here. Now, let's get into our boy Jinshi. We got some quite interesting information about our boy. Wouldn't you agree? We found out that Jinshi isn't really a eunuch and that it is a cover. But there were allusions to this prior with like the insignia, the stuff with Lady Aduo. So him being potentially the son that left or went away. Because if we remember, Lady Aduo didn't actually say her son died. She said he went away. So maybe she doesn't even know that Jinshi is her son and is being kept undercover as a eunuch. And then Jinshi also brings up saying something like he doesn't want the throne, which means he is someone in line for the throne, which means he is definitely one of the emperor's children, or potentially even his brother. We're not quite sure, like where he falls in the lineage quite yet. But I have a feeling we'll get there pretty soon. But anyway, we now know that Jinshi, the eunuch, is 24 as his disguise, but his true age is 19, which is quite showing with some of the ways he acts towards Maomao at times, because that's when his immaturity kind of comes out. And him being 19 makes a lot of sense, because you see some of that youthfulness like come out around Maomao, or when he's alone with Gaoshun and like not wanting to do work and shit, and he's like, "No, it's too much. I just don't wanna." Very teenager. In any case, this brings up some interesting potential things that could come up in the near future involving Jinshi, and also why. And it also tells us that he's not that interested in taking over the throne, and he's very hopeful that the emperor will give birth to a son, which he brought up during this episode when he was chatting with Gaoshun. Yeah, right during this when he was chatting with Gaoshun, he brought this up. Like I said, why he's so hopeful that the emperor gives birth to a son so that that child can take over the throne instead of him. Because I guess as things are, he may end up having to do it. And one more little tidbit about this. We now know Jinshi takes special medicine to keep his manhood in check so that he's able to fake being a eunuch. But this also means he has the potential to have children in the future, or as Gaoshun said during this chat, that if he keeps drinking this stuff, it might make him impotent and thus no longer capable of rearing children or of producing children, which would be unfortunate for him. And on that note about children, my boy Gaoshun here has like a whole damn family. What the hell? That's some crazy shit. He's got grandchildren, children, and then a wife. What the hell? I mean, go Gaoshun. Man deserves it. He's a cool man. So, power to him. I'm glad he had a happy family and he's like, I don't give a shit about being what I am now. I already had my family and all that shit. So, whether or not I become impotent is irrelevant at this point. My lineage is set. Despite all this stuff that's been going on, we now have a new thing that has arisen that both Jinshi and Mama's attention has been kind of drawn to it, and that is the fact that our girl, Lady Gyokuyo, has potentially become pregnant again. And if this is a son, this could cause some serious problems within the concubines for the Battle of the Throne to become the Empress. And if that's the case, Lady Gyokuyo and her kid could potentially be in danger now, which is partially why they have Maomao back at the inner palace or inner court to help take care of Lady Gyokuyo and keep eye on her as her poison tester, which I am very interested in finding out about in the near future. But now, let's jump over to episode 21. When it comes to episode 21, I don't have a ton to say about it, but it was pretty good. I actually thought it was a really cute kind of break from the craziness we had the last couple episodes, and kind of focusing on our boy Lihaku and his goal to get Maomao's sister Pyrene from the Verdigris house. He wants to buy Pyrene out, and Maomao is even kind of for him being her sister's partner, which is pretty cute in my opinion that she kind of approves of it, and it seems Pyrene also seems to like him, which means it won't be as difficult as Maomao had presented in this, being like 10,000 silver or whatever, to purchase her, because when the concubine likes you, the price kind of drops because they're more willing to be purchased by you. So I really respect that our boy turned down Jinshi when he offered him the funds to purchase Pyrene. My boy was like, nah, I need to earn her myself through my own efforts. I'm going to obtain the money myself. Your offer is quite tempting, but I need to do this myself. Because if I obtain her through another man's money, it then takes away the meaning behind the purchase. Because in this time frame, earning it yourself and going through all that hard work to earn the money to buy the woman you're in love with, especially if she's in love with you too, just has so much more meaning to it than just getting the funds from some rich person, because then you didn't put in the effort, which kind of shows the woman that you don't care that much for her because you'll just use whatever means possible. There's a lot of meaning behind putting in a lot of work to win over your love, or in this case, buying your love. But we'll just say winning your love, because it sounds a little bit better than buying, because even though that's how it works during this time period, it just sounds way more cute to say winning her over through hard work and dedication. And that's something that I can respect. Now, the last little tidbit here that I want to talk about is this last line that Lacan says, blue roses. And I wasn't quite sure what he was talking about when he said this, or what he was alluding to. And I'm like, blue roses? So this caused me to go look into the meaning of blue roses. So let's go take a look at it real quick. So one of the meanings of blue roses, as written here, hope y'all can read that. So apparently some of the meaning behind blue roses can be, they symbolize mystery, aspiration, and admiration. They can represent deep romantic feelings full of love, affection, and respect for a woman or that special someone in an unusual but beautiful way. Blue roses are a great way to show appreciation and admiration for someone, making them an ideal gift for any woman or special someone. But what really was interesting here was some of the other meanings behind blue roses that I came across right here, which is representing the unattainable, impossible, or the unique. Now, when I think about it as the unattainable, it makes me think of Maomao, because she's pretty much out of Lacan's reach and unobtainable. So she could be the blue rose that he's referring to. Or it could be alluding to potentially Pyrene and Lihaku. I'm not entirely sure what he's getting at here. It's very mysterious. Which I guess fits in with the meaning of blue roses as well, because what he's actually alluding to is a mystery to us, which blue roses also represent, as said right here. So what if the blue rose is actually that newer courtesan that recently joined up, replacing Lady Aduo? Maybe she's the blue rose, because we don't know a lot about her yet. She is quite mysterious, but in terms of like aspiration or admiration, now she might have some aspirations, which could be part of what this is alluding to. And maybe Lacan is backing her somehow. With all that said, if I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to check out some of my other reviews, they should be available somewhere here on the screen for the Apothecary Diaries. And with that said, Mr. Howie, out.